Hey, good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday morning. I'm Mark with Saturday Morning Cartoons, and along with my co-host, Jerome Connor here. Rose is AWOL. Rose is at a convention. She says she'll try to call in, but she has attended a convention this year. So we're going to go ahead and bring up our substitute teacher, our co-host for today's Saturday Morning Cartoon, Joe Thompson. Joe Thompson's been here before. How you doing, Joe?
Great. I guess that means you're hot for teacher, huh?
No. I just don't want you throwing the eraser at me and Mark.
I definitely am not hot for you. What kind of microphone are you speaking on, Joe? You're not as clear as you usually are, I think. So I'm wondering if you made a change.
I am just using my computer.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's a little better. I use the I guess the microphone on the camera here. So other than that, how you guys been? Hope everything has been good this week for you, since it's only been a week since we've seen you guys.
I've been pretty good. I've been doing a lot of drawing. I've been doing more drawings in the last several months than I've probably done in my whole life.
Is this contract work, or what is this?
So no, it's a writer and I have been working for the last year on a project. We spent about 10 months world building, character creating, story, crafting, and now I'm working on the actual book itself. It's a graphic novel that we're working on. It's going to be on the web first, and then we're going to Kickstarter and Indiegogo and Patreon to launch it as a full book. So
awesome! And when does this happen?
What's that?
When does this happen?
We're launching at the end of next month, beginning of March, or I'm sorry, beginning of April. So either end of March, beginning of April.
Oh, congratulations! Sounds
Thank
good.
You. What was your question, though?
I was going to say, so in other words, contrary to all logic, you're actually being creative this year.
Yeah, exactly. It's a labor of love. There's a lot of work that goes into it, and I had to put aside every other project that I work on, because I do a lot of freelance stuff, for money, and so I don't have that coming in right now, but that's okay. This is important. It's a story that needs to be told. It's something cool. Nothing is quite like it out there, and that's what excites me.
So are you doing? Obviously, you're doing the pencils. Are you doing the inking and the coloring?
I'm doing pencils and ink. I am also doing the lettering. When we go to
hard.
Yeah, when we go to color, we're not going to be full color. We're going to have nuances of color for specific things. When we go color, I'll be doing that as well. So I'm doing a lot.
Hey, FYI, I am seeing comments from both Jennifer and Rose on another platform. I think it's on my personal page. Guys, I cannot see your comments. You may want to, unless I'm in Facebook, I can see it, but I can't see it in the show. So you guys might want to switch over to where Cheryl is. Cheryl, did you log in on the MBL Entertainment page? If so, let me know so I can go ahead and tell the ladies to pop over to another page. I hate it when StreamYard does this. I don't get to see all of the comments from all of the formats that we broadcast over. So it's a second StreamYard glitch that I've seen so far. Fortunately, they gave me a solution that I can't initiate through this morning's show. So it's going to have to wait until there you go, Jennifer. There you are. Jennifer, what page are you on? Please tell us so we know how you're viewing us, so I can tell people to go to that page, since I can't see. You too, Rose.
Wait a minute, isn't Jennifer like looking over Joe's shoulder?
She's downstairs in the living room, and I
Wait a
am
minute.
upstairs in the office.
Ooh.
Yeah, Cheryl, you said Facebook Saturday morning. Wait a minute. You must be the MBO Entertainment page, Cheryl. Hey, Terry from Ireland, how are you, buddy? I hope you have a great day. It's a little gloomy and cloudy this morning, but the sun's going to pop out later, and we got an entire week of close to 90 degrees. So I'm not looking forward to that at all.
We had mid-60s yesterday. I was in T-shirt and shorts. It was wonderful up here.
Yes. Okay. Jennifer, yes. Hey, come on, Cheryl. You should know this. Yes, Jennifer, it's the MBL Entertainment link. Guys, if you can view the show through that, I can see your comments. So
we're in the 40s, and I don't like it. I want Mark's weather, not my weather, because that's where I grew up, and I lived here for 30 years, and I still hate the weather.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you, living in this state, typically every year we get a week, not a week solid, maybe 2 or 3 days out of a week where it's freezing weather, or I won't even say freezing. To me is anything under 60 degrees. So
aren't you supposed to be crazy when you live in Florida? Because I keep hearing about Florida man and all that. So
No, it's usually people who don't live in Florida who bring up those terms, much like people who are bitten by alligators because they try to pet it, much like people in theme parks who are petting squirrels who carry diseases. Well, I'm constantly telling, don't do that. They will bite you. It's always people outside of the state who labels Florida. Okay, so don't do that. Don't assume you guys who do not live in Florida because you're idiots. So stop it.
Yeah. Remember the guy that took his kids he was on the beach at the Polynesian at Disney, and he took him to go pet the alligator there, which is just an indigenous animal to the area. And the kid got killed, unfortunately, and that's a tragedy. But the idiot, what kind of idiot brings their kid up to an alligator?
Right.
A wild alligator on a lake. I mean, it's just.
I having been an employee and an employee trainer at Universal Studios for 8 years, I can always tell the difference between the people who live here and the people who do not. Because people who do not live here are the ones who make the news. It's hilarious. Cheryl's got 53 in Baltimore. Good job, Cheryl.
Nice.
What? Going up to maybe 45 today. Oh, I'm sorry, 33 degrees. I read that wrong. 30 degrees going up to 45. Woohoo! Still chilly. Yeah. So I'm not a fan. Luckily, the Star Trek crews leave Port Canaveral, which is 45 minutes away from here, on Friday. I have friends that are flying in. I'm sorry, it leaves on Saturday, but I have friends who are flying in around about Friday. I'm going to meet up with them. I'm actually going to take next Friday off. Crapola. We got a show. Anyway, I will talk.
Well, if we have to, we push the show off a week because we're allowed to have a life.
Yeah. So I'm going to meet up some friends who. Hey, there you are, Rose. Thank you for switching over. So we know, Rose, that all the comments, even though there's a button that says all of the comments are not being picked up unless I go on Facebook and look at that page. So I'm really bent out of shape about that. Because I know we probably missed so many. It's Disney alligator. Yes, it's a Disney alligator. It sings and dances before it chomps down on one of your limbs.
Doesn't it dance in a tutu with a hippopotamus?
Actually, it's a 3-3. So it's Disney. They always go overboard. So it's got to be a 3-3. They can't have the typical 2-2. So Rose is online. She is here with us as she is driving, I think 2.5 hours to Bartow, Florida, where there is a convention that's always a one-day convention, but it's held outdoors. But the support from the entire town is incredible for supporting a convention. They go all out and bring a lot of services out during the con, and it's a really fun con outdoors, and it's just fantastic. So,
what con is it?
It's called Sci-Fi Bartow, Bartow. You can look it up, and it's a really cool outdoor con. It really is very very exciting. Unfortunately, I've never been, but I live through photos of other people. Majority of crazy news is in Florida, like the naked man that was biting people. I have no idea what you're talking about, Jennifer.
Yeah, that was a thing. There was a guy that got arrested because he was biting. He was naked and he was biting people. And he was
since I live here, you think I would have heard of it. So I'm really not trusting the media much in this. If we ourselves haven't heard it, it's like, where do you live, Joe?
Now I live in North Georgia, about 45 minutes north of Atlanta.
Okay, I heard about that massive hurricane and tornado in the same day that you got. I found it on the internet. I'm just saying, I found that news on the internet. So
yeah,
just goes to show. So don't believe everything you read. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, so this morning Joe is taking over as our guest. We are deviating a bit from network television, shall we say, on Saturday mornings, which is okay because we're still in the same category. Is that you, Jerome? What am I hearing clicking?
Oh yeah, my breakfast.
Oh, okay. I know how to fix that. Yeah, anyway, so Joe is going to go ahead and take off on telling us a little bit about his show today. Joe, go ahead and tell us what you're going to share with our audiences this morning.
Thanks, Mark. So yeah, I've been thinking about this show for quite a while. The idea kind of came to me because watching the Saturday morning cartoons as a kid that was my ritual. Like all of us, get down there with my bowl of cereal, just like Jerome, eat my life, my tricks, whatever. But that was kind of like the ritual part, the normal part. But then there was the spectacle, and so you'd see these commercials for these big movies, and usually you'd see trailers or commercials for animated films because they knew their audience, because somebody in their media department was smart and they said, hey, yeah, well, this movie is going to be intended for kids, so let's promote it during their Charlie Brown or during their Smurfs or whatever. So I just wanted to put together a show of my favorite animated motion pictures, animated features of all time. I decided to go as far away from Disney as possible, and the reason for that is because, look, let's be honest, Disney gets plenty of exposure on its own. Everybody knows them, so I went for some of the deeper cuts, some of the ones that are a little less celebrated, a little less well known in some cases, or beloved, even though they're not Disney, because they're by no means the only animation studio in the world, even though they'd like everybody to think that. We do have one Disney film, but it is decidedly not Disney. But yeah, that was kind of the motivation for this. So I hope everybody enjoys it. These are near and dear to my heart. They helped form like who I am and the artist that I am, and a lot of the things that I like as an adult. So that's the kind of deal.
Awesome sauce. And what made you come up with this idea? Just I know you described a lot about the differences of Disney films and that intent, but what made you wake up this morning and say, hey, you know what? I want to do a show on animated movies.
I don't think that they get they don't get the respect they deserve. I think especially in the era where most of these films kind of came out, which was through the early 80s and 90s. Nobody talks about these anymore. Some of these are movies that I hadn't even seen for years. And so hoping to share with people some things maybe they haven't seen before, or bring some nostalgia to the things that they did love,
Yeah, and I like that it is classic, shall I say, because a lot of movies on your list here I actually went to the theater to see. Yeah, and it's fantastic. And there's one on the list here that stands out above the rest as my number one favorite animated movies. So I can't wait until you get to that and talk about that. So go ahead, tell me what to do.
Okay, so I will say I've seen every one of these films in their original theatrical run in the theater.
Attaboy.
That's a proud point for me. And I own most of them on Blu-ray or DVD.
Is my hair on fire?
It is on fire. It looks like it's electric. Yeah, you kind of got a static clock thing going on.
trying to do my Ghost Rider thing here. So okay.
All right, so the first film on our list that I'd like to go over is, really an important film for me because it showed me what what animation could do. It was extremely inspiring to me. I'd never seen anything like it. I grew up a Disney kid, and when I saw this, it just I had no idea that you could accomplish the things that they did with this film. It's The Secret of Nim, which was a 1982 film adaptation of a book by a guy named Robert C. O'Brien. His book was called Mrs. Frisbee and the Rats of Nim. They actually ended up changing because the movie was so popular, they ended up changing the name of the book to just Secret of Nim. It was the directorial debut of Don Bluth. Don Bluth was and still is to me one of my favorite animators. Interesting story is that Don Bluth kind of was a rebel, and he in '79, when he was fed up with a lot of the things that were going on with Disney in California, he did a mass exodus. It was he and 12 other major animators, 10 other major animators left Disney, like up and left. They said, we're out of here, like full on stand up, flip the desk, walk out the door. And they started Don Bluth Productions. So the interesting thing about this is that Secret of Nim was actually optioned to Disney. So they offered it to Disney. And the head of Disney at the time says, he's like, we've already got a mouse. We've got Mickey Mouse, and we've already done a mouse movie called The Rescuers. We don't need that. But Bluth on the side is talking to his fellow animators and friends. And, he gave the book out to his friends, to the fellow animators. Everybody loved it. They're like, yeah, we need to do this. And because Disney wouldn't do it, wouldn't get the options, when they started their company, they got the options for the film rights, and made a classic. Film centers around a little mouse named Mrs. Frisbee. And she protected her children while unraveling the mystery of how her husband died. And why these mice and rats. This is the cool thing, which is what makes the film so almost in some ways anti-Disney. The whole film, the plot centers on why are these rats and mice so humanesque? Why are they able to stand on two feet and use their little hands and make tools and fight and talk? The whole plot of the film actually answers that, like why. And so we never know why Mickey and Pluto and Donald can actually talk and walk and drive cars and things like that. So it was really featured Bluth's signature smooth animation, his expressive eyes, and his grandiose ideas. So with that,
I don't like mice, Joe. I got a phobia to mice and rats, and you bring mice and rats to my show. I don't appreciate that.
Well, there is a really creepy, cool owl that eats rats in the movie. So
he's my hero. He's my hero.
He's pretty awesome, actually. The owl was one of my favorites. Do you guys remember this movie or?
Oh yeah, I have a phobia, Joe. I try not to remember.
Wasn't the owl Dom DeLuise, or was that? Or was that the Raven?
The Raven. The Raven was Jeremiah, and that was Dom DeLuise.
Right.
He has a crush on Mrs. Frisbee, and he's therefore he's a little hero in his own right.
I don't like mice, Joe. I don't like mice. Mm-hmm. Are we moving on?
What year did this come out, Joe?
It was 82.
Yeah, it felt like 82, 83 when I think I saw it.
When I saw this was in the I was in my late years in high school, and the year before Heavy Metal had come out.
Mm-hmm. Ooh,
and between the two of them, what did we see? We saw a dramatic change in tone of animation from the light and fluffy Disney stuff, and even the competitors did, to suddenly now animation is dark.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay,
And
so let's
and
get on
that
to
was
your
really
first
good.
one. I'm sorry, Jerome. Go ahead, finish that.
I was just to say this was both of those films were major groundbreaking, changing in tones of what the films were. I mean, yeah, Ralph Bashki did stuff, you know, Lord of the Rings and Fritz the Cat and all that. But those didn't get the wide release that these two films that I was just talking about got.
Yeah,
Okay,
and
do we have anything to show, Joe?
yeah, we have a clip. But
Okay.
before that, just to touch on what Jerome said, like
Uh-huh.
that's what made that so big. I love heavy metal. I almost included heavy metal, but I kind of want to go for a different vibe. But yeah,
Yeah, I like heavy metal. It's not even a family show. My God, we're streaming, so we're not under any rules whatsoever from anybody. So we can do anything that we want, but within conscience of the show. I mean, I could watch heavy metal 5 times over. Don't get me right, especially in my my puberty years. In my puberty years, it was just absolutely groundbreaking for me. You know, yeah, I know. I can now stop looking through the Montgomery Ward catalogs in the lingerie sections. But anyway, that's another story.
Terry's got a great point right there. That was one hell of a run, man. It didn't last forever, but Don Bluth's run of films, I mean, it's unparalleled, dude. The
Agreed.
guy, just So let's run that clip.
Okay, let's. Sorry, hitting wrong button down here. I was set up, and now I'm not. Okay.
Excuse me. Pardon me.
Jeremy?
I'm being followed.
Followed?
There's a crazy lady with a hat. She's got big teeth. She tied me up. And then ooh, a sparkly.
What?
You're wearing a sparkly. Can I hold? Oh, please. Can I?
Jeremy, listen. I need lots and lots of strings
String.
to move the block.
Move the block. Hey, I've got strings. I've been saving them. Oh, sure. Red ones, blue ones, green,
Pay
yellow.
attention. Go get all the string you can.
Okay. That'll take all day.
Good. Get going.
Yay!
I just thought I'd mention in passing. I've always wanted a sparkly of my very own.
Will you get going?
Sure. Excuse me. Bye. Bye.
I liked it when the mouse fell down.
Of course you did.
I love the crazy eyes that he has when he's looking at the sparkle.
Yeah, hey, good morning, guys. Oh, let me make this quote real quick, guys. Guys, if you are on my personal page watching this show, Mike, come on over to the MBL Entertainment page. I see you're posting comments, but I can't seem to access it through this platform. So we're trying to move everybody over to MBL Entertainment right now. So go over there, Mike, and we can see all your comments, buddy. Sorry about that. What was Brady saying? Oh, hi. I miss you guys too. Miss you too, Brady. Okay, Joe, take it away.
Yeah, and Terry again nailing it. That's exactly what I was about to say. One thing you're going to find in all the movies that I've picked for today, but especially like the Don Bluth ones, the casts are amazing. I mean, Dom DeLuise. You think of '82, Dom DeLuise. This is right.
That's the slimmest I've ever seen him.
But you think about that. That's right during the his heyday, dude. Early '80s.
Yeah. Cannonball Run, all of the.
Yep. Yeah. He was in Smokey and the Bandit, with his buddy.
That's what I was thinking of. Yeah.
Yep.
No, he wasn't in Smokey and the Bandit.
Oh yeah, he wasn't. He was in.
No, he was in Cannonball Run.
Cannonball Run.
He was in Hot Stuff.
I thought he was in Smokey too.
Or maybe in Smokey 2.
Oh,
I never
maybe he
watched
was in
Smokey 2.
Smokey
What was
2.
the
I
point
can't-
after the first one?
I can't remember.
Hey.
Hey, I like Smokey and the Bandit, buddy.
You know,
Sorry.
and, anyway, hey, listen, just to the side note about Dom DeLuise, he was in a film called Failsafe where he played a dramatic role.
Yes, he did. That's one of my favorite movies. Henry Fonda, black and
Yep.
white.
Yep.
Yeah, Cold War. Okay, go ahead, Joe.
All right. So our next film, one of my favorites of all time, not just favorite cartoons, favorite films of all time. I think it's one of the best films ever made. The Iron Giant.
Hold on. I have to make people realize how much I really. Oh, it's one of my all-time favorites. Go for it, Joe.
So good. It's just, I mean, everything about it. In a time where everybody, in 99 when it came out, everybody was trying to move towards computer animation, and really computer animation wasn't quite there yet. But Brad Bird decided, like, no, I'm making a huge feature film, and I'm going to hand draw it, and they did use computer animation to aid the look of the robot, but it was still hand drawn. So it was, made 1999. It was based off of a novel, and I didn't know that at the time, which is The Iron Giant by Ted Hughes, produced by Warner Brothers Animation. And the film is co-written and directed by one of my favorites. He hasn't directed a ton of films, but Brad Bird, everything he makes, I love. He did The Incredibles. He did Incredibles 2. And he's one of those directors. He doesn't just come in and like sit in the chair and direct. No, he writes and directs. He does the same thing of the directors I love the most. People like James Gunn. The reason why James Gunn is one of my favorite directors is that he gets so passionate about the process. He has to be involved in every little piece of it. So features the voice of Jennifer Aniston, Harry Connick Jr., Vin Diesel, who is the Giant, Eli Marienthal, Christopher McDonald, John Mahoney. It's just, incredible. So the film is obviously about how a lonely boy, Hogarth Hughes, is being raised by his mother, Annie, the widow of an Air Force pilot, and he discovers an iron giant that fell from space. The help of a beatnik named Dean, they have to stop the U.S. military and a federal agent, Kent Mansley, from finding and destroying the giant. Takes place in a sleepy little town called Rockwell in Maine, and it was during the height of the Cold War. And I think they really captured the era in which Iron Giant was kind of made. So obviously, Mark, you love the film.
Dude, I can't even explain how much I love this movie. I really can't. I can't put it into words.
Yeah, it's just so good. I'm assuming, Jerome, that you like it too, unless you're, absolutely insane, right?
I have a confession. I've actually never seen it. Okay. I've seen lots of clips. I know the story. The clips I've seen, man, they caught the 1950s dead on. It happens. Some of us just don't see everything. There was a lot going on in '99 that, that I was, with my life that was not good. That I missed a lot of stuff around there.
Yeah. Well, catch it when you can. It's just catch
it.
Yeah,
it's on my bucket list.
Actually, no, I've got homework for you tonight.
Oh, no. Listen, I've got a 9-year-old I'm fighting with homework on. Don't give me homework.
Give him homework, Joe. Give him homework.
Get the 9-year-old, get the family together and watch it. It's a great family movie. It really, it's like, it's got.
I know a lot. Like I said, I know a lot about it.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Terry. But like I said, I know about it. I know the story. I've seen tons of clips on it.
Yeah.
Like I said, somebody's coming in.
Your
say
homework.
something?
I want to know what this homework is.
I have to watch The Iron Giant. Apparently my wife has seen it and I haven't.
Yeah, tell her with the family, with the whole family.
I'm supposed to watch it with the family.
So, Joe,
yeah, she's laughing hysterically at that one. But yeah, I mean, from what I've seen, just the sketch work alone is impressive.
Oh yeah,
I've seen behind the scenes sketch stuff.
Yes,
hold on, You're right, Joe. So what do you think really put a tickle in my panties recently, like within last year or maybe within the year after?
Probably when he showed up in Ready Player One.
You get the gold ring, buddy boy.
Yep.
I cried when I saw that. I literally, I teared. I couldn't believe how emotional I got when I saw first the Iron Giant sitting in the garage where, you know, that character in that world was building. And I'm like, oh my God, is that the Iron Giant over there in the corner? And it was in half, of course. You saw the torso and you saw the leg. And I'm like, what is going on?
Well, you do get to see it at the very end of the film being used. You know, so H is
in battle. Yeah. In battle. Unbelievable.
So I'm a big Ready Player One fan. I love I love the book. Yeah, the book is one of my favorite books of all time.
Oh God, I've read that at least 5 or 6 times.
Yeah, and so the Iron Giant really isn't present much in the book, and so that was one of the big improvements on the film. There were some things that they changed about the film that I wish they hadn't, but I still love the film as it is. I think it's brilliant. I think it's one of the best things that Steven Spielberg has done in years. But the Iron Giant stuff, man, I lost it, man. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
You know,
I lost it too. I was in the theater doing it, and I was just crying my eyes out because I couldn't believe I'm seeing this on screen live.
So like I said, like I said about the movie The Iron Giant, from with the clips I've seen, that the catching of the paranoia of the Cold War, really, even on the clips I've seen, was really solid. You know, they caught a time in our history, in the U.S. history, that was really solid. They really caught that.
Okay, Joe, should we go ahead and play this now?
Yes. So let's play the Iron Giant, please.
With pleasure.
I miss hand-drawn animation. You put a line around a character that's patently unreal, but the line is alive. And the imperfections are sometimes more perfect because they come out of an emotion. We're in an age now where a lot of artwork that people use to prepare films with is digital. And that means it's just information. The ability to touch a piece of artwork, to look at it and know that there was a pencil, a brush, between a living being and the paper, to know that that's the only one that's the original in the universe. There's some unexplainable magic in that.
That's cool.
I think it would be a big loss if people stop making films by hand.
I guess that's it, right, Joe?
Yeah, that's the clip. That clip actually, like I get teary with it.
Yeah.
It talks about the magic of drawing and making these films, and you can hear just how meaningful it is to Brad. What a passion for that. And he's right, man. In this digital age where everything is created in the computer, so it's just information, it's just data. There's a mysticism. There's something that we lose if we don't have somebody putting a pencil to a piece of paper and creating something, and it's the only one, that only animation cell in the universe, so they're just, man, that is so.
I agree. I have a couple of cells hanging here in the house, and you look at them and you're right. Nobody else has that piece of paper or that piece of celluloid or whatever it is that they painted it on.
Yep.
And there is a magic to the hand drawn that
Yeah.
while computer animation can do a lot of things the hand drawns can't do, it doesn't have the life that a hand drawn does.
Yeah, it doesn't. I don't think I've ever watched a CG, and I love a lot of CG animation, but I can't think of a single CG animation that's made me as emotional as the hand-drawn stuff,
Yeah.
Close, maybe Toy Story, but not as, right on. So,
Yeah. Okay, what do you got next?
All right, so the next film is actually one of my favorite films of all time. This movie helped. Honestly, is really fundamental in making me who I am. What I love, what I'm interested in, how I draw, the music I listen to, the stories that I like to be told. It's everything, and that's The Last Unicorn. And I know, some people are going to think that that's, stupid or whatever, but I was the perfect age, man. I was 7 years old, and my mom took me to see a movie about unicorns and dragons and knights and wizards, and I was primed for it. It's a 1982 film about a unicorn who learns that she's the last of her kind. She hears it from animals, she hears it from hunters while she's in her glade, and she decides to go on a quest and search through the world and see if she is the only one. Because to an eternal being, you think of, if it's been a couple hundred years since you've seen another of your kind and you live forever, it's not odd, like, oh, I'm just here in my little house, I'm the last one. So it was based off of a 1968 novel, which is an amazing novel, which is The Last Unicorn. Peter S. Beagle. It's the one time in history where the author wrote the book and then also wrote the screenplay, which is just the book. I mean, if you look at it, it's almost word for word from the book. There are a couple small things. Even the dialogue is the same things that the characters say, word for word from the book. Great book. And what was that? Can you bring up that last comment there, Mark?
Yeah, he was saying he has the same feeling with Flight of Dragons.
Oh yeah, Flight of Dragons. Yeah, that's another. Man, dang it, I should have chosen Flight of Dragons.
I brought Peter to Europe 3 times.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
really?
Yes, I had Peter in Europe for 3 times. I had him at my Lord of the Ring conventions, believe it or not.
Wow.
Yeah, in Germany. Had Peter 3 times in Germany. It was great guy. So go ahead.
When Cara was pregnant with Gwen, we went to New York Comic Con, and I'm trying to think, what were you, about 6 months pregnant, Cara? 6-8 months?
No,
Anyway,
it was like 5.
Cara was showing, and Peter was at Comic Con, and we got the book The Last Unicorn, and we knew Gwen was going to be a girl at the time, so we got him to sign it to Gwen before she was born. Yeah, we got to meet him, so that was really cool.
That's awesome. He's been to Dragon Con a couple times. Honestly, I've chosen not to meet him. I was nervous, and I don't normally get nervous, so I don't panic. I don't get anxiety. So because I was getting anxiety from it, I just decided I would wait.
Wow,
it's
understandable. Understandable.
Yeah. So the film was directed and produced by Rankin and Bass, and it kind of has some elements of their signature style. But I found out something really cool about this movie that I didn't know about 2 weeks ago while I was putting this show together. I wasn't even doing it for research. It was a news story that popped up in my feed because, the internet gods know exactly what I'm interested in. And so they give me tidbits of information from up on high. So this is mind blowing to me, and it may be to you guys, or at least somebody watching the show. The animation for Last Unicorn was actually done by Studio Ghibli.
And
The Japanese company.
yes, it was. And the interesting thing is, it was Studio Ghibli before they became Studio Ghibli.
Yeah, Studio Ghibli. Wow, that's fantastic.
Well, I mean, Kara made me rewatch it recently, and it felt the animation on that felt very much like The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings that came out, and Bashki has that same style of art. You know, it felt a lot like a Bashki film to me when I saw it.
And it really does. But if you also like kind of compare it to some of the early work from Studio Ghibli, it looks just like them. So originally that company was called, I believe, Topcraft.
Yeah.
And so they did a mass exodus immediately after this film, after they did this film for Rankin and Bass, and they formed Studio Ghibli. And so most of the animators that are at Studio Ghibli, the old school guys who've been there for years, they worked on this film. This was really their first film. So
Let's show this, and just as a heads up to you, Joe, we are already 40 minutes into the show, and we've only shown 3 clips.
Well,
so we may want to pick up the pace just a little bit.
The first few are longer than the original. So
okay. Good to play? Good to go?
Well, I was just going to say the film included the voices of Alan Arkin, Jeff Bridges, Mia Farrow, Angela Lansbury, and Christopher Lee, Sir Christopher Lee. But one of the big things for me was the music. The music was actually written by the 70s folk group America. They never released the music here in America. It was released in Germany, where it is a huge hit. It has some of my favorite songs of all time. They wrote the title theme song and like 4 other songs, and then everything else was produced by the London Symphony Orchestra. At its time, the movie made $6.5 million at the box office, which for an animated feature was ridiculous. That never, so, but yeah, let's roll the clip, please.
You are a true wizard now, as you always wished. Does it make you happy?
Well, men don't always know when they're happy, but I think so. And you?
I'm a little afraid to go home. I have been mortal, and some part of me is mortal yet. I'm no longer like the others, for no unicorn was ever born who could regret, but now I do. I regret.
I am sorry. I have done you evil, and I cannot undo it.
No. Unicorns are in the world again. No sorrow will live in me as long as that joy. Save one. And I thank you for that part, too. Farewell, good magician. I will try to go home.
I'm alive. I'm alive.
Oh, I guess it cut off there. Okay. I've never seen it. That's a movie that, I could say that I've never seen. I don't know why. Yeah.
It's really good. It's classic fantasy.
I'll be honest, it does take a couple of viewings to really get into it, because the story, it gets a little slow in some spots. And as an adult, you watch it and you kind of look at it I looked at it when I rewatched it, and it took me a bit to get into that story. I don't know why. It just, for some reason,
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
And by the way, 1982 gained the same time as Secret of Nim.
Yep, it did. It did. And they probably both had a profound effect on me, going to the theater and seeing those. So our next movie is everybody's seen this movie. Anybody that was alive at the time has seen the movie because it's one of the biggest animated films of all time. Mark.
I haven't seen it, for God's
Listen,
sake.
you guys wanted to remove me about Iron Giant, so it's only fair,
I haven't seen it. I'm sorry, Terry. I'll put that on my list.
Hey guys, look, as long as they don't want to remove me, I'm the guest. So.
Ooh, wait.
So the next film is An American Tail. What a classic. 1986. Don Bluth's probably his crowning achievement. Features Gary Oldman. Just incredible movie. Filmed by Universal Studios, with Amblin Entertainment helping to produce it. Films tells the story of Fievel Mouskowitz and his family as they immigrate from Russia to America. Fievel gets lost and must be reunited with his family in the vast city of New York. Meets friends and foes along the way. It was followed up by a much worse sequel that actually included Don DeLuise again. Fievel Goes West, but the original one, just how epic!
Yeah.
Everyone saw this movie. Everyone. It was just such a big deal.
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys saw it. I'm not even going to ask, right?
Oh, of course. I saw this at the theater. Absolutely. Yeah. So is that a go? Is that a go, Joe, to play?
Yeah. Wait, Jerome,
you gotta tell me.
You ever seen it?
Seen what? I'm sorry, Joe. I can't hear you.
You cannot tell me you haven't seen An American Tail.
I've never seen American Tail.
Are you?
Oh my God!
My wife is horrified. My wife has told me that she's now calling the divorce lawyer.
Yeah,
girl.
What is wrong?
I knew I liked her for some reason. God in heaven. Oh my God.
Exactly. There are no cats in America.
All right, I guess I'm playing, right, Joe?
Play it, please. Yes.
Okay. Oops. Now I just missed my. Oops.
There are no cats in America.
That's definite. I'm getting out of here. Me too.
What are you all afraid of? Cats. Papa told me. Everyone knows it. There are no cats.
Ouch. Yeah. Nasty.
Well, mister, there are no what in America?
Cats.
Yeah. Jerome, the reason why you need to see this movie, man, is that it just came to me. Hey, look at that. We got a surprise guest.
Good morning, cartoon
Good
crew.
morning. How you doing?
Very good.
All right.
I've been loving your picks today, Joe.
Oh,
thanks.
They're really amazing, and of course that last one you did, the last unicorn before American Tail, was probably one of my favorites. I will say this, barring the stuff that's in my library for my kids.
Yeah.
The only cartoon I've ever intentionally bought and downloaded.
Yeah.
Have in my library because I know I won't be able to find it.
Yep.
I have to have it. Yeah.
I own it on VHS. I have three copies I've bought over the years on DVD, and then I've got it on Blu-ray. So it's
All right, Garrett, am I hearing someone vacuum in your office?
What's that?
Yes. There's a vacuum going on in your office. There's some serious whizzing.
Oh.
Garrett?
Oh, wait a minute. Let me
Oh, lost Jerome. He'll be back.
see here.
Yeah, see when I mute you, that is on your side. So
Yeah, it might be
what that is.
might be the mixer.
No big deal. We're gonna go ahead and continue with the show because we are grossly over time here. So let's keep rolling with Joe here. Go ahead, Joe.
Okay, all right. Well, I was gonna say Jerome isn't here to hear this, but the reason why he needs to see the movie is because to me it's almost like the film equivalent to like Titanic. That epicness in that era.
Right.
The whole. I mean, this was a big story. It was a story about immigration, really, and the immigrants that came to our country in the birth of our country, and just what a beautifully crafted film. It's and my wife just made the same comment that I was thinking, which is that scene inside the mouth of the cat, like that is you don't see that,
Right.
How brilliant is that to see from the back of the tongue to the back of the teeth inside the cat's mouth. It's just
Right.
a brilliant shot. Movie is full of it. So we'll move on to the next film since we're kind of running a little bit out of time. So I'm going to go a little bit more information, a little bit quicker here. But the next one is The Black Cauldron from Disney. This is a decidedly very un-Disney film. This film was a dark fantasy that was produced in July of '85, the 25th animated feature from Disney. It's the very first PG-rated Disney animated film. It's based on the first two books in the Chronicles of Prydian, which is based off of Welsh mythology. It's set in the mythical land of Prydian during the early Middle Ages, and focuses on a young pig keeper, Taran, and the princess Ilinwe, and a wild creature named Gurgi, who seek to destroy this cauldron to prevent the Horn King from ruling the world. So this movie almost killed Disney dead in their tracks. It was such a massive failure. It had a budget of $44 million, and it made $21 million in the box office. Disney almost went bankrupt, like dollars shy of bankruptcy, and they didn't release the movie on home video for 12 years after the release. I loved it. I didn't get why people didn't like it. It didn't have any songs in it. It didn't have any singing dancing bears or whatever. I mean, it was dark and twisted and weird. I thought it was awesome. But I guess people didn't agree with me. I was 11 when it came out, and I thought it was cool. So let's run that clip if you want. Did you guys see The Black Cauldron?
The Walt Disney Company is proud to announce one of its greatest adventures ever is coming to video for the very first time. Introducing Disney's 25th animated classic, The Black Cauldron. Come along on an incredible adventure with some exciting new characters. The brave warrior Taran.
I'll protect you.
The beautiful princess. The mischievous Gurgi. The magical pig Henwin. The fiendish creeper.
I always get blamed for these things.
And the evil emperor. The Horned King.
Soon the Black Cauldron will be mine. If the Horned King should find it, nothing could stand against him.
Now, Taran and his friends must be the first to find the Black Cauldron and save the kingdom.
The Black Cauldron can never be destroyed.
It's a legendary tale you'll want to add to your collection.
You're quite right.
Full of classic Disney action. and fun for the whole family. For the first time ever on video, the timeless adventure of Disney's 25th animated classic, The Black Cauldron. Coming this fall, only for a limited time.
Did you guys see this? Anybody else see it besides me?
Never saw it. Nope.
Really?
Love this movie, by the way.
Saw it, but didn't see it in the theater. Saw it on video.
All right, what you got next, Joe?
It's such a not Disney movie.
Yeah. The thing about this is that this came out in '85, and that was sort of like there was a run about that time of fantasy films at that time: Dragon Slayer, Sword and the Sorcerer, and a whole mess of made-for-TV fantasy ones. So this just sort of slid right in with all the other fantasies of that time.
Yeah, it did, and it's by no means the best movie of all time or anything like that, but it's a fun movie, and it's a dark, twisted, a
dark Disney film. Who would have guessed?
Yeah, right. All right, so the next film, because I know we're starting to run low on time.
Yeah, well, you can take your time now. I just canceled I had an appointment with my tax guy. I'm not going to make now. So.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I delayed you from doing your taxes. You're welcome.
All right, what you got next, dude?
All right, so our next film, everybody knows this one, Ferngully, The Last Rainforest, in '92. It was distributed by 20th Century Fox, based off of a book, and that's the odd thing is most of these were based off of books. Film stars Tim Curry, Christian Slater, Jonathan Ward, Robin Williams, just a huge cast. And then it's set in an Australian rainforest inhabited by fairies. And they're basically trying to prevent a logging operation from destroying their rainforest. Krista, the main fairy, she accidentally shrinks a young logger named Zach to the size of a fairy. And together they rally the animals and the fairy folk of the rainforest to protect their home against from Hexus, a malevolent pollution entity who was pretty gross, to be honest with you. Tim Curry's character. Did you guys see this movie or
no?
No. Wow.
This is too girly for me at the time.
Wow.
Joe,
this movie as an animation for kids, interesting take. Robin Williams, wonderful.
Yeah.
But honestly, this movie is responsible for about 5 years later, some of those teens that saw this movie went in and saw Medicine Man and other movies because it created a generation of environmentalists.
Yes.
Ferngully told us it was all right to love the trees.
Yep. Exactly.
Well, did this come out before or after Captain Planet?
It was right around the same time.
Around the same time. This was when everybody was pushing it was social cultural awareness to a younger audience. And it was creating a generation of college activists.
Yep. And it wasn't cheesy like Captain Planet, and it really wasn't, and it wasn't overly preachy either. And Jerome, I did go see it with my high school girlfriend. But I will say, although it may have read kind of girly, to be honest with you, when you see those fairies in their skimpy outfits, it's but yeah, man, I think you're absolutely right. It made it okay to care about the environment, and that's what the message was. Like, hey, man, this guy works for the logging operation originally, and then he sees the actual effects when he can shrink down and look up and see the world. What's happening. He sees the effects of what that company is doing to the rainforest.
Just so you know, Joe and Garrett, Cara has said that she's got the divorce lawyer on speed dial because I haven't seen this one either.
See, what they did with this was a perfect use of animation as metaphor.
Yeah.
That's what they do. He shrinks into the size of us. Yep. He becomes as small in his world as we are to the real world. To the world. And by doing that, he gets to see the world for how it is. And we get to see him transformed in a way that makes us say at 13, 14, 15, 16, we get to say, oh, wow, we are small creatures. It's okay to protect the things that are so much bigger than I am.
Yep.
And again, by the time you hit college, you're like, hey, it's time for me to go out and stand up and march for the trees. I mean, it's a really, this is a moment in a shift for animation. It becomes a tool for our education. And it's,
see, for me, the environmental one that shifted me to environmentalist was the Lorax.
See,
you know, I speak for the trees.
Yeah.
You know, so
yeah,
this is a little less over the head. This is a classic hero's journey adventure story told in a way that the environment around them is what awakens you to the environment. So
and that's the thing, like, with Lorax feels so overt. Like, everything about Lorax is like, hey, this is our mission. Eat it, take it. And Fern Gully is a little bit more subtle. I mean, I saw the comment about Tim Curry. Tim Curry's villain is so gross. He's a noxious, anthropomorphized cloud of smoke. You know, and he boils. You know, like he shifts, and you know, you think of Tim Curry's like smoothness. You know, just how smooth he is as an actor. It lends itself so well to that, like, you know, humanized smoke. It's really, he's a disgusting bad guy, you know, and he's a direct result of the pollution, you know. I mean, it's a great movie. Highly recommend it. So.
And he's a direct result of
all right.
You know, I mean,
I'm hearing some echo.
highly recommend it. And he's a direct result of
All right.
Where's that background noise coming from?
I do not know.
I muted everyone. Hold on. That's weird. Oh, look, there's me again. Okay. All right, should I play the clip?
Yes, please.
It is this one.
This is the last time I save you, human. No, Betty, take me back to the leveler. Are you crazy? That's lemming talk. Wrong channel. Oh, Caesar, Emperor of Rome. Wrong channel. Well, all right, Gummy. We're going to war. Yes, then back to the cab, Betty. Let's go. But then... Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night. Oh, we're going in full throttle. That ought to keep those rebel fighters off our tail. Lock and load, gentlemen. Time to rock and roll. Hey! No, Betty. To the cab. Bogey at 3 o'clock. Red leader.
Did you see that? It looked like some kind of flying rat.
Hey, Captain. I can't get enough speed. We got no dilithium crystal. Oh, no! Betty, watch out! Oh, this is gonna hurt. Oh, no!
Okay, pre-Genie days.
Yeah, it's such a good movie, and honestly, no, that's not pre-Genie days. That's actually it's after Genie.
Okay,
but it's classic Robin Williams, man. I mean, he does such a great job. And so think of a movie in which Robin Williams and Tim Curry are on opposite sides. It's so good, man. So good.
Yeah, Cara just informed me what my homework for spring vacation here is going to be.
You got a lot. I'll send you
apparently so.
I'll send you the list. All right. So our next movie is The Prince of Egypt. And this one is near and dear to my heart. And I think that it was such a bold choice. Jeff Katzenberg tried to get this made when he was with Disney, but Disney didn't want to cross the line and try and offend anybody by doing a religious movie. And he wasn't trying to do it to be religious. He was talking about, like, you know, what actually happened and, you know, what we know, you know, based off of events, but also the miracles of it and the lessons that the actual Bible taught. And so he did it under DreamWorks. It was a newly formed DreamWorks Animation, the very first feature film. It's an animated retelling of the Book of Exodus. Egyptian Prince Moses, who was Val Kilmer, discovers his roots as a Jewish slave. He embarks on a quest to free his people from bondage. His plea is denied by his brother Ramses, who's the pharaoh. It was Ralph Fiennes. And a series of horrific plagues strike Egypt, and to see those play out is incredible. I mean, the way they did it, to actually see, like, they were grotesque in some ways, and kind of scary. So I didn't really think it was much of a kids movie. Love the animation style. Moses eventually leads his people, the Israelites, to freedom by parting the Red Sea, drowning the Egyptian army. Man, I love this movie. It's such a spectacle.
Oh, that was a cue?
Well, did you guys see it?
No.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Show Rome.
Okay. You ready?
Yes.
Joe? Okay.
Yes.
Gotta tip me off, buddy.
With this staff, you shall do my wonders.
Are we sure? Prince of Egypt. Did you see that?
All right.
Okay, I think we're on. I think we got knocked off Facebook.
No,
or
we're
something.
listening. We hear you.
No, I meant Kara's watching the streaming and she's not watching us right now. She's not able to watch us.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody who cannot see us, let us know. And that's probably true. You keep running though, Joe, because we are recording this.
Sure. Yeah. And so, did anybody else see Prince of Egypt besides myself? Or? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Just
one of the interesting things, the amazing things about Prince of Egypt is that it did what live action had been unable to do before. If you look at the background characters and you look at the animation in this told first of all a biblical story, which is something that a lot of studios, Disney and everybody else, shies away from. But it told it with definitively drawn ethnic characters from the region. It's something that Hollywood and live action even hadn't done. They were, they would go into an area and cast a bunch of California surfers to play Bedouins. I mean, that's what they would do because
I don't know. I think Cecil B. DeMille did a pretty good job.
They went on location for that too. So it was like, hey, who's the background extra? Anybody standing in the background, take it, guys.
Yeah.
But I mean, Hollywood typically hadn't done that, especially in animation. Everybody was made to feel like you were in the movie. So if you were an American audience, everybody looked like you. And they didn't do that with the Prince of Egypt. They drew characters that would look the way they would have looked. And
that's one of it really did work. And people I think responded because of it. It was immensely successful. And I think it was Terry brought up a great point. It does harken back to those movies of the golden age of Hollywood. Ironically, I mean it kind of reminds me a lot of Ten Commandments, but I know people would probably crucify me for saying this, but I think it's a better movie and a better telling of Moses than Ten Commandments was. So, I know it's not the entire story, but I'm sorry, a better movie than Ten Commandments was, not a better to be telling of the story. But I think that it was just so epic. You sat there in the theater and watching these fire tornadoes and watching the Red Sea being parted, and just it was so incredibly well done, but it felt like a golden age movie. And that was something uniquely to that. DreamWorks had a small run of fantastic hand-drawn animation before they transitioned to CG, and this is the one that started it, and just such a great movie. They didn't do many, but the ones they did were really well done.
Was this the same time as El Dorado came out?
Yeah, this one preceded El Dorado. Okay. El Dorado was great.
I loved El Dorado.
Yeah, it was hilarious. It's one of the funniest movies of the era. So, all right, guys, only a couple more. We're going to do a small shift, and that is, I belabored whether I should include this type of film because some people don't consider them, the actual the same genre, but I do. I think the spirit is still there, and that is anime. There's two anime films. They're from the same studio. I mentioned them before, and that's Studio Ghibli. More specifically, my artistic hero, the guy who has inspired me my entire life, that's Hayao Miyazaki. Miyazaki is still at his, in his 80s, still hand-drawing animation. Here's the big difference between him and somebody like Walt Disney. Walt Disney started his empire, by drawing, by creating the animated films himself. And then he taught his principles to several people, like the 8 Old Men, who carried on the style of Disney animation and taught those to a new generation. Miyazaki didn't do things that way. He still is drawing animation styles every day. He still is intimately involved in all the films that he directs. He's working on his very last film right now. It's been in the works for several years, and it's going to be a few more years because they're still drawing it, So, but his first big movie was My Neighbor Totoro. My Neighbor Totoro it's just a blast. It's fun. It's a great one for kids. It's a great way to introduce children to anime and to that side of the world. It was produced as a double feature with Grave of Fireflies, which is an equally fantastic film. In 1988, it's set in
the Saitama Prefecture. Tells the story of a professor's two young daughters that kind of go on this adventure with friendly wood spirits in post-war rural Japan. And it received critical acclaim, massed a worldwide cult following after its release. It has won numerous awards, especially in Japan. Received the special Blue Ribbon in 1988. It's just fun, man. I mean, it's just so much fun. Totoro is such a creepy looking character, but he's so lovable too. So, has anyone else seen Totoro?
No.
Really, Jerome? Should I bother? No.
Never even heard of it. I mean, I did pre-Akira anime then, and I didn't get back into anime until about 2010s. So
I'm familiar with Totoro from my son is a major anime fan.
Yeah.
He actually studied it in school. He its origins in post World War II. He's really amazing, and so he would speak and he would talk about this one. But he would talk about it. It was there was something special about this one for him. So, and I don't know what it is. So Joe, you're going to tell me. So,
and that's it. The movie does such a wonderful job of the curiosity of the world from a child's perspective. Everything still has wonder. We're all a bunch of jaded old guys. We've seen it all. I mean. Nothing has any element of surprise to it anymore. But when you're a kid, the world is your oyster. You feel like there's unlimited potential, and it does such an amazing job of capturing that moment of childhood. They go on these wild, crazy adventures with in a cat bus. It's a bus made out of a cat. It's weird. There are things that shouldn't work, and they do in this movie. So, fantastic movie. It does skew younger. Jerome, it's not in your homework to watch this one because it really is meant for kids. Now, the next movie, though, Miyazaki, I think it's one of the greatest, probably his greatest film, and that's saying a lot because all of his films are fantastic, and that is Spirited Away. So I was part of a campaign to get this film to America. This is the early days of the internet. I mean, early and relatively in about 2000. We tried to we did a internet campaign. Me and several hundred other people tried to get as many people to sign a petition. This is well before they had petitions on the internet, so a website had to be created. We were successful. We got it under the eyes of Disney, and then John Lasseter, as people know from Pixar, he showed an extreme interest, and he got the company to bring the film to America. So I'm not taking credit for it, but I was part of the process because I felt so strongly about it.
Did this film get nominated for an Oscar for best animated?
It did, yeah, it did, and there's a reason for that because it is a beautiful film. Absolutely, this is a must-watch for everyone. It's not going to make a lot of sense the first time you watch it. It's a weird adventure. The story is about a 10-year-old girl, Chihiro, who wanders into a world of gods and spirits. She's forced to do manual labor in a bathhouse. Because her parents got turned into pigs. She meets ancient Japanese spirits and befriends a dragon. The animation is incredible. The line drawings on this, they have so much life and so much energy. The backgrounds are so detailed and really immerse you in that world. I can't even. There's so much to say about it. There's more to say about it than I can possibly, come up with. But the film was honestly made to please Miyazaki's friend's daughter. She wanted to see a movie like this, and so during the planning, he gathered the daughters of the Ghibli staff. to hike through a mountain and hold a training seminar and get their perspective from a 10-year-old girl. It amassed a whopping 31,680 billion yen in Japan. The only movie that beat that record, it was the #1 film in Japan until last year. Now it's 2020. During the pandemic, the Demon Slayer movie came out. So think of it. This was the Titanic of Japanese film until 2 years ago when it got beat. So just like Titanic got beat by Avatar, 20 years later, that's how big of a deal it is. Incredible film. If you haven't watched it, definitely watch it.
What did you say the money was? How much yen?
My figure says 31,680 billion.
Okay, thank you.
Oh man, I forgot we didn't do this clip. Wow.
Hey, it's a little weird, Joe. That's the clip you sent me.
Yeah, that's so weird. I don't know why it was looping like that.
Yeah.
Well,
So Joe, I just did the numbers. That comes out to about a little over $275 million.
Wow.
Okay, so that's big numbers right there.
Yeah. So that clip was actually from My Neighbor Totoro, because I guess I forgot to tell you to run the clip. So now let's watch the clip for Spirited Away.
Aha.
My apologies.
Walt Disney Studios presents a Studio Ghibli film.
Honey, don't take a shortcut. You always get us lost.
From master filmmaker Hayao Miyazaki.
What is it?
Come on, let's go in. I want to see what's on the other side.
Where are you going? Hey! You said just a quick look! Now let's go back!
You should be here. Get out of here. Now!
What?
Leave before it gets dark. You've got to get across the river. Go! I'll distract them.
Mommy! Ah! I'm dreaming! Ah! Come on, wake up! I'm see-through!
Don't be afraid. I'm Master Haku.
No!
I just want to help you.
No!
In worlds seen and unseen, where spirits are transformed and sorcerers rule.
The witch Baba controls you by stealing your name. If you completely forget it, you'll never find your way home.
Your name belongs to me now.
One girl's future depends on her judgment.
Aren't you getting wet out there? I'll leave the door open for you.
Her courage.
Haku! He's hurt! Haku! Haku! This way!
Her loyalty.
Haku helped me before. Now I want to help him. Everyone? I need my shoes and clothes subtitles, please?
And remembering one thing above all else.
I want you to know my real name. It's Chihiro.
Walt Disney Studios presents a Studio Ghibli film. Experience a magical movie phenomenon embraced by all the world.
Let go!
This fall, prepare to be spirited away.
Excellent.
So did everybody? Has everyone seen that movie?
I've been meaning to, but I have
On the
not.
list.
It was on my list to see, but I did not get to do that.
I do remember when this came out, there was some pushback in the anime community because Disney was involved.
Yeah.
You know, but I did not get a chance to see it. I heard it was really good.
And I'm not going to give anybody crap for that for not seeing it, because anime is not for everybody, but it is a decidedly anime film, and that's true of most of Miyazaki's films. He doesn't typically follow the what's hot or what's current or popular. He just kind of marches to his own beat. But it is a beautiful film. I highly recommend it. If you're going to watch it with kids, watch it with older kids. There are scary parts. There are parts that are a little disturbing. She goes into a dark fantasy world. The dragon that she befriends, he is my favorite dragon on film. I'm a big dragon guy. I've got dragons tattooed on me. But he is my absolute favorite, and I don't typically like the Asian style dragons. Just personally, I like the medieval style ones. Yeah, the storytelling is fantastic. It's such an adventure. You are. I know they use that cheesy line at the end. Prepare to be spirited away, but that's what the film does. It really takes you to another place, to a magical, enchanted world that doesn't exist, in our normal lives. So. And then, there's some parallels, because when you first enter the movie, they're in the real world, and then it seems very normal. They go to this magical place, and then when they walk out, it's like, oh, okay, it was a dream, or something like that. Even though they experienced it, they're kind of back to normal. It's just, it sums it up really nicely. But highly, highly, highly recommend it.
I was going to say that it's interesting because of the anime that I've seen, especially with this type of fantasy. It seems more cultural in the Japanese world than like in the English world, the Anglo world, where the Anglo fantasy is all almost very Alice in Wonderland-y style fantasy, while this is more of an organic fantasy.
Yeah,
it
does. It feels authentic. That's probably. Because look, man, I didn't grow up in Japan. I don't know what's authentic there, but I think it's so genuine that it feels that way.
Yeah.
And the people what I've read from other people who've lived in Japan is that it does, even where they go to, they said you can find places like that, these abandoned areas in these kind of remote prefectures, where you see like an old amusement park.
Oh yeah, abandoned amusement parks. Yeah.
From back in like the 20s or 30s. Well, I'm sorry. Now I have to specify the 1920s. But they said you can find these kind of things, and you do feel like you're transported and you're on an adventure. So great film. Definitely go watch it.
Joe, I tell you what, this is such an amazing show today, because this is the first time I've ever watched a Saturday morning cartoon show where Mark and Jerome haven't seen stuff that I have. I mean, because it's so rare. But Jerome, you hit it on the head. The way that anime typically approaches culture. Coming in its early incarnation, anime was designed by great animators to introduce the Japanese to Western culture. And what Miyazaki was able to do successfully, and I've heard this so many times. My son studied this, and what he was able to do successfully was flip the script on that and bring a little Eastern culture to the West through anime. And it's something that you rarely see when something is designed to message one direction. And it succeeded. It really did. Japanese culture really grew with some Western influence. But he took then Eastern stories, Eastern philosophy, Eastern cultural dynamics, and pushed them back and introduced them to the West. And he introduced them to our kids, to our 11, our 12, our 13-year-old kids. So they grew up with a set of philosophies that was far more broadened than
I can't wait. I can't wait for when Gwen gets old enough to see this one, because like I said, I've heard all about this one. I want to sit down and share it with her and watch it with her, but she's not there yet.
It's so magical. But you're absolutely right. That's it. My daughter is a product of that. You know, my middle daughter, and really all three of my kids, but more so her. She takes after me a lot, and you know, she's an animation student at SCAD. You know, she's in her third year. Woo, woo, big props, Emma. Yeah, she's. I showed her movies like this young, and maybe a little too young. It's not rated R in any ways, but there's some dark themes. But I knew my kid. And I knew she could handle it. But you're right. I mean, she's a kid. She's an adult now. She's 20, 21. So, she's still a young adult, but she loves anime. You know, and she is a very progressively minded person, you know, and she looks at the world differently from how I did when I was 22. You know, in many ways, she probably has a broader and more accepting, mind about things. Not that I'm closed-minded, but a much more worldly minded perspective than I did. You know, I was probably I had a narrower view than I thought I did. You know, so you're absolutely right. Fantastic movie, guys. Definitely watch it. Please watch it. So
all right. So that is looks like the end of our show. Thank you, Joe, for putting on a great show today. Garrett, thanks for chiming in. Jerome, and look like we're going to see you guys next week. I got to run. I'm in trouble now, so I got to go. So
I'm sorry.
I'll talk to you guys soon. See you later, guys.